Oh boy. Welcome back, everyone, to my podcast. Um, it's a little bit different of a podcast. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. It's been a really rough um, past several days. Um, just trying to piece together, everything that's going on with Hurricane Melissa. It has been absolutely crazy. The devastation, unimaginable. Feeling like there's not much you can do, but from so far away, that takes its toll. And it has really been pretty. It's been crazy. It really has been crazy. I know a lot of people have been asking. I've personally been quiet about my family and all of that because I just wanted to make sure that people, that we could find people and that we can get in touch with people and know exactly what was going on before, you know, saying anything. So, of course, um, there's family that we probably will not hear from for a while just because their areas are hit super hard. But I would say immediate family, aunts and uncles have been accounted for. And I did get a chance to. I have a couple of aunts that I've tried to call, haven't been able to get in touch with them, but I did hear that, like, their kids, or at least one of their children was able to get in touch with them. So I'm like, all right, cool. So it's just the lines going up and down. And that actually, for the first time, they were able to get in touch with their mom, who would be my aunt, was just yesterday. And yesterday was November 2nd. So you can imagine the storm has been past days now. And that was the first time that one of my cousins was able to get in touch with her mom. So it's pretty, you can imagine how daunting that is to not know anything and to not, hear anything from anybody. So I was able to talk to my uncle. That's my mom's he's the youngest, my mom's younger brother. He's the youngest of her siblings. And he says they're good. He's in Montego Bay. The area that they're in is a little more modern, so all of their houses are built from concrete. Um, so they were in a much better position. And some of those areas over there are kind of on a slight incline. So the water where it would pool in other places would not, pool there. And he's like in a duplex where, you have an upstairs and a downstairs area, and he's in the downstairs area where the house that he built. So he is okay. He's good. I tell you, everybody's trying to get their telecommunications up. I had created an account with the two mobile companies. There are Flow, Flow, and Digicel is another one, and he has Flow. So I went online. I was like, okay, I gotta buy this man some credits and minutes or whatever it is. So I got him an international plan and just topped him up with a bunch of credits and everything because they gotta call their people. They gotta check on folks. And I know he has one of his friends who lives more on the countryside, and those places were ravaged completely. I mean, there's nothing left. And it kind of reminds me of when I think it was Hurricane Dorian No, I don't know if it was Hurricane Dorian. No, Hurricane, well, yes, Hurricane Dorian, I think, was a Cat 5 too, that hit the Bahamas, um, I think in 2019, and it just wiped so many things out. Or even Hurricane Irma that hit Barbuda and Antigua, and while Barbuda, the entire island, I think had less than 2,000 people living there, and they all had to be evacuated to the neighboring Antigua. This is crazy, the things that are going on. I pray for all of the families who have people still in Jamaica, all of us who are stateside, who are just watching this and trying to ship barrels and aid and donate money and clothes and toiletries and all the things that we're doing, and water. And these people don't even have any homes. They don't have anywhere to bathe. They don't have any, if they're near water and the water starts to clear up. There was a group of people in a neighborhood in Westmoreland that the water has kind of cleared up now, that's been coming down, and it's spring water, and it's clean. So thank God, they at least have clean water. And but that's little pockets of areas. This place has been decimated. If you guys ever heard me talk about Westmoreland before, that's where my grandfather is from. His entire town has been wiped off the map, and it is hard to watch. It is like we've gone up in this area many times, as a child. He's taken us around to where he used to live, and where he used to walk to go to school, and all that sort of stuff. And I can't even believe this place is just, I mean, it's not it like my gosh, it's really, it's hard to watch. It's very hard to watch. Um, so there's been a lot of efforts. There's been a lot of drop offs here and there, in the tri state area, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, and Philly. And, there's so many places up north that are doing all these different drives. And, I've just been digging my heels down with that. And, it's like I'm exhausted. I really am exhausted, as I'm sure the people in Jamaica are exhausted as well, because they're trying to receive the aid, and they're trying to also find their families, and they're also trying to help, their fellow, Jamaican citizens and everything, and, just trying to get through all of this. So it's a big deal. It's a big, big deal. I just say to anyone, if you've ever visited Jamaica, you know what a jewel this place is. And Jamaica has given so much to the world just in music alone, sugarcane, bauxite. There's amazing chocolate and coffee and all the other things that we have contributed to the world. We gave the world Bob Marley, and all of these other amazing artists, Sean Paul, Jimmy Cliff. Oh gosh, I'm just trying to think of everybody. Shaggy, like so many artists, Buju Banton, Beanie Man, all these people. And as I mentioned those people, the reason why they're top of mind for me is because all of them are in this relief effort deep. They're chartering planes, they're getting their nonprofits together to work with the nonprofits in Jamaica to make sure that, you know, the people are taken care of as much as possible. It's been a lot of phone calls, a lot of emails, a lot of, trying to get in touch. And, you can imagine I'll be talking to my uncle for like 2 minutes, and then the phone will cut off. And we'll be, just trying to find out what he needs and what we can send, and, what are touchdown spots, because he truly is in a better area than a lot. But everything around him And I'm telling him what stuff is looking like. He hasn't really seen everything yet. Because I don't think they're able to really get out yet because roads are blocked and roads are non-existent. Some of the roads have been washed away, so they really can't do much right now in that regard. But we just want to make sure he's all right. And I'm like, if he knows of any areas where he is where folks can touch down and set up shop, for healthcare needs, for toiletry needs, and water and food, and it's like just the basic necessities right now. People have lost their homes is one thing, but then all the folks on the coast, the Black River area, that coastal area, they all have businesses. You know what I mean? So it's like their home is in the back and their business is in the front, or their home is up the hill and the business is down by the beach. And the business is down by the beach. I mean, it's completely gone, everything wiped out. Um, it's like I said, it's very hard to see. And then ultimately there's a lot of people that have died, and they, whether trying to ride out the storm or whatever, or drowned or whatever. So, in the Westmoreland area, you will be cleaning up rubble, and then you may find someone, in the rubble who has passed away. So, after a few days, you've got to get those bodies out of there, and animals. And one reporter was talking to a woman who has a farm, and, she had, I think, a few goats and a cow, and all of them had perished in the storm. And they were just laying, on her property, and she has to move them. It's such a morbid thing to think about, but it has to be done, and it's not going to be easy. It's going to be of a lot of work, a lot of um, coming together. Um, yeah, I don't even like to think about it, but this is this is basically recovery issue. The rescue stuff is probably done at this point, and now it's recovery. And I tell you, there were even some people that were still on their roof um, yesterday, and the storm has been passed, and yesterday the waters where they were started to recede, where you know, they could get down from there or get water rescue to come in. Another guy was washed away with the water, and thank God he was grabbing onto these rocks and he stayed there. And the rocks were completely covered with water when he originally got washed up there. But now that the water's receding, he was just laying on the rocks. I mean, he looked like he was extremely fatigued and tired and weak. And he's said he was holding on, for a couple of days, And the Jamaica, I forgot the organization, but it's the military organization that had their helicopters, and they came and grabbed him up and took him. Another old elderly woman was being carried, like in, I don't know if it was plastic sheets or whatever it was. And they carried her out of her home, and you see her home in the background has crumbled. The only thing that was existing was like the front entryway, because that was made of stone. And that's where she was, catched up in there, trying to get away from the storm. And she was still alive. Thank God she was moving, but she was just like in the fetal position, and they put her in the helicopter and to get her to aid, and and stuff like that. It's just like, oh my God. So hopefully we'll hear from the rest of family. A good amount of cousins and family and things are in Kingston, which, as you guys know, Kingston was really supposed to be, at the beginning of all this, supposed to take the direct hit, and it actually moved a little bit more west and hit in the St. Elizabeth and Westmoreland parishes the hardest. So Kingston is definitely tons and tons of damage, but they are in a little bit of a better position because a lot of, and the airport out there is actually in great condition. So there's a lot of aid coming in through, um, I think it's Norman Manley Airport that's over on that side. And then Sangster Airport, which is on the west side in Montego Bay, I believe they have opened up also for emergency flights and maybe even commercial. I think I heard that commercial flights resumed, I think, on Saturday. So, you know, this is a lot. There's a lot of tourists that were stuck there because, you know, the the airports closed last week Sunday ahead of the storm. So it's we're a week in now. I think we're 7 days in now, or since the airports have closed, or this is day 8, and I believe they open back up on Saturday, this past Saturday. So it's just a lot. It's just a lot happening. But like I said, I always like to speak from a place of triumph, and I wasn't sharing the blow by blow, and people were sending me messages. And to be very honest, um, yes, I saw some of the messages, and I just wasn't in a place to even um, answer them at that point. But I just kept posting on social media resources and things, and you know, um, donating and all of that, donating groceries. And I know there's different platforms that will allow you to donate groceries, and just Google it, look it up, and find ways to give, because Jamaica is going to need a complete rebuild. It's just um, the infrastructure. I mean, there's whole roads that are just gone, and it's not just a couple, it's many, dozens, and it makes it very hard to get around to get aid to people as well, especially those on the countryside. So they have to find, there's got to be helicopters is pretty much the only way that a lot of people can get aid right now, especially in those countryside areas. So, I'm mentally drained. I know I don't sound up in my usual, jovial self, because I'm not. And I'm not going to act like I am, because I'm not. Um, I'm concerned about still other family members that we haven't heard from yet. Um, but because of where they're located, I'm thinking that it's just because their telecommunications is still down. But I here and there have had spotty conversations with one of my uncles, and he said he's good. I got him, like I said, I got him an international plan so he can call us and not waste out his minutes or his credits or whatever on his phone and whatever like that. So when I'm able to really have a full on conversation, because literally we'll talk for like 1 minute or even not even 2 minutes, and then the line will start to go. So hopefully he'll have access to internet. I think he did mention that they will have access to internet soon through Starlink. Somebody's supposed to be bringing a generator, all this sort of stuff. So, oh yeah, it's a lot of rebuilding and community, uh, a lot of communities linking together to rebuild, and that's what's gonna happen. Eventually, a trip will be done on my side, and just to further survey everything that's happening, and that'll likely be early next year. Excuse me. Um, yeah, yeah. I can only imagine if I'm tired and I'm drained. I can't even imagine the citizens who have lost everything, or had substantial damage to their properties, and that kind of thing. So I'm just praying for them, and I hope that you will too. And Jamaican people, if you know, we're a resilient bunch. It takes, man, it takes a lot to break us down, but this definitely is is gonna be a big one. This is gonna be a big situation. So thanks for listening, and yeah, I'm gonna go, but I will keep everybody posted. And thanks for the folks that have been contacting. Definitely appreciate you getting in touch. And yeah, yeah, wow. Just keep Jamaica in your prayers, you guys. Thank you.